listen. You win the 24 hours of Daytona, the 12 hours of Sebring, and Le Mans in the same year, we can talk.
We can talk. I want to hear about how amazing
you shit out a kid, not interested.
No.
Stick around, make a sound. There's more Dumb People Town.
Look, Ran, I love a deal as much as the next guy, but I'm not going to crawl through a bed of hot nails.
Is it a bed of hot nails?
Well, it's
or
only
is
a bed of nails.
a bed of broken glass.
I walk on a bed of hot
I'm not
going
to walk through a bed of broken dreams.
Well, look, I'm not
Just
going
to
do
save
that.
a few bucks?
No, it's got to be easy, no hoops, no BS. So when Mint Mobile said it was easy to get wireless for $15 a month with the purchase of a 3-month plan, we called them on it. Turns out
it's true.
Really is that easy. You get wireless for $15 a month. The longest part, the hardest part of the process was the time we spent on hold waiting to break up with our old provider.
Yeah, to get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/DPT. That's mintmobile.com/DPT. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/DPT. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. This month is all about gratitude. I want to show gratitude to my wife, Amy Sklar, who's been so supportive and amazing. And along with that person I just shouted out, there's another person we don't get to thank enough, and that's ourselves.
Very true. It's sometimes hard to remind ourselves that we are trying our best to make sense of everything. And in this, let's say, crazy world, it's not always easy. Here's a reminder to send some thanks to the people in your life, including yourself.
That's right. Let the gratitude flow with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/DPT today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp.com/DPT.
Hey, Townies, welcome to another episode of
Dumb People Town.
Population You.
Population Carolla.
What's up, Adam
Yeah,
Carolla?
man.
We've got you out of your studio and into our studio. I feel like I feel honored that we have you
We
here.
brought you to an away game.
I love being interviewed. I love doing other people's shows.
Because you don't have to carry the you don't have to carry the full weight of the thing. You show up and just be funny.
I've always been that way. Like,
you're on the scoring line.
When we would do we do the man show.
Yeah.
And like sometimes it'd be like, oh, we're coming out of commercial and Jimmy's gonna do the throw to the whatever. And then sometimes it'd be like, well, Jimmy did the intro and the throw, and I'd go, good.
Yeah.
Like, we get paid the same. Because my mentality's like a roofer.
Right.
Like, what if there's some prima donna roofer who wanted to do 80% of the roofing?
Go for
you
it.
stood around. I'd be like, good.
Good.
Dude,
Take
it was your role on Loveline in many ways. If you go back to that moment,
It was, that's for us pre-man show, and you talk about like driving around and listening to radio or where you listen to radio while you're working or whatnot. And I would sit and listen to that show, and somebody would call up and be like, hello, and you would just be like, who touched you? And it was like that.
which uncle?
That you would just be like, but having done it for so long, your insights into people just by the way they I was like, this is brilliant beyond belief.
Let's explore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you see people, if you see anything,
Yeah.
you get a lot of information,
ton.
and it's not always great.
Right.
Because sometimes it's like George Clooney looks like he can fly an airplane.
Totally.
But he can't.
No.
But if you told a 9-year-old, if you took Lou Pearlman, who may have had a pilot's license.
Sure.
Backstreet Boys guy. Okay.
Sure.
You took that guy. And you took George Clooney and you said to a 5-year-old,
Who's the pilot?
Who's the pilot? They
Right.
all point at
To
George
Clooney,
Clooney. So
everything.
but if you closed your eyes and you just heard them talk about flying airplanes, then you'd get more information.
that's so
okay. So when you do Loveline, you do radio show or anything, you put the headphones on, you don't see anybody.
Right.
And you hear and you listen and you listen and you listen times thousands of calls.
Exactly.
And what you don't realize, or what I never thought about, is people start to sound like who they are.
Right.
Angry people sound angry.
Yes.
Racist people sound like angry. Gay has its own sound. Guys who work with metal have their own sound. And people who are molested have
their
a
own sound. Yep.
Just like a truffle sniffing pig. Like
Right.
I
You
could
smell
smell it out.
Sniff it out. Yeah.
But it's also like, if you look at people, if a guy's gay, you can sort of see it, and if a guy is angry, you can like
it.
see it on their face.
If a guy is gay and angry,
oh man,
that you can't actually see that. That's something no one can detect.
You can feel it. You just feel it.
But if you're talking to the right 9-year-old, they would look at Lou Pearlman and at and George Clooney and be like, Clooney doesn't fly his own plane, but he has his own tequila company.
Yeah,
and that's really about the
that's
9-year-old.
An insightful.
That's an insightful 9-year-old, and that
Yes.
kid, get him to Vegas and start betting with him. Well, listen, we're going to get into all sorts of stuff, but we have these stories sent in by our great fans. You can hit us up on Twix at Sklar Brothers, at Dana Van Kirk, hashtag Dumb People Town. That's we know who sent it. Let's jump into a story, shall we?
This was sent in by a guy named Jason at BTTFH. I don't think he's ever sent anything.
No, thanks,
New
Jason.
sender.
Thanks, buddy.
bud.
All right, here we go. Here's the headline. Influencer who married herself a year ago says she's now divorcing herself.
Can't.
No. I mean, if you can't live with yourself.
Well, the good news is you only need one attorney.
Who is somehow still going to fuck you over.
You're still going to get fucked because the way divorce works is your attorney fights the other attorney, and then
And the attorney even says to you, like, look, I know you're going to want to talk to yourself about this. And you're going to think that you and yourself can figure this out
Trust
without me.
me.
Do not do that.
I've got bad news.
Yeah.
They don't want to cut a deal.
What? Who's they? Me. Other people in my office.
yeah,
Here we go.
I want to be there for the deposition.
So do I. Sorry, here we go. 1 year ago, Brazilian influencer Sulan Carey made the decision to marry herself. It's a practice known today as sologamy.
Sologamy.
This is a real thing? Well, I mean, it's not a real thing, but it's a thing people are giving a name to.
sologamy.
Adam, you get an invitation for someone's wedding that they are marrying themselves. And it's a destination wedding.
Yeah.
What are you doing in that instance right there?
Well, they would have to be registered at Pier 1.
That's right.
Yeah,
Get her a
bring it
Papa-san
home.
chair.
Come
Come
on,
on.
that's why I'm here.
That's great.
In an Instagram post she shared on September 21st, never forget where you were on 9/21.
I will never forget.
2023. Carrie shared photos of herself in a London church wearing a traditional wedding dress. Why is she wearing a wedding dress?
Yeah, she couldn't
Why
wear
is she
the-
wearing the tuxedo.
Can we wear the tuxedo? It's got to be half
Because
and half.
everyone wants to be a bride. No one wants to be a groom.
Yeah, she
Nobody
should've-
wants to be a groom. No one dreams of being a groom as a child.
No.
Why?
She'd have to go to the tailor that Kelsey's mom went to for
Yes.
the jersey with the eagles
Yeah,
and the Chiefs,
that's right.
to get the bride,
Right,
the
sure.
gown and the
She didn't
tux,
want to do
right?
that. She's
Half
like,
tux, half gown.
half tux, half gown.
Oreos of London.
They do a great tailoring
They
job
do.
of half tux.
Yeah, I see my feeling, look, not a critique of your show, but let's not give crazy people a platform.
Well,
I just
I don't
feel
think
like
we
there's
are.
people that this guy Steve
That is our
married
whole
a
show.
pumpkin.
Yeah,
and
that
now
is
he's
kind of
dating
our
a
whole show.
pumpkin.
Our goal here is to crush this woman, and I think we are
but
trying.
we used to just call these people mentally ill.
Sure.
And now they're influencers.
She's a Brazilian influencer.
Yeah.
I mean,
Brazilian
which
influencer.
means she doesn't influence anyone on the right or the left, just right down the middle. Brazilian
right.
influencer,
There you
folks.
go.
All right, here we go. She's wearing a traditional wedding dress. Yes, public. I am sologamous, she explained in the caption time. Over time, I discovered and understood what I wanted. Today, I value and love myself. I married myself here in London. She's basically taking herself out of the pool of marrying.
By the way, it
everybody.
was a destination wedding.
London.
Yeah, she's in London.
And if she decides to date other people, eventually, like, she has to say she's a divorcee, and she divorced herself.
By the way, Clooney, back to Clooney.
Let's get back on him.
And marriage I have a son. He's 18. I have people listening have sons. He played it perfectly.
He
in
waited.
the marriage department, which is he got married early and divorced early before he had anything.
Right.
Then once that little 3-year experiment goes south with no alimony and no possessions
No
given up,
kids either,
no
right?
kids, then you get to bang your way through Hollywood
Which
with
he
the
did.
excuse of I've been married once,
Guys,
babe.
I
It
know.
did not go well.
that
I'm not ready for that again.
So you just plow half of Hollywood for 30 years with the excuse of I'd like to settle down, but I've been burned.
I've been there. I've
I've
been there
been
before.
there.
I
I've been
can't.
burned.
I can't
I've been
go
burned.
back.
we
to
all
that.
don't want to go through another 3-year.
And he made it clear publicly, I have no interest in getting married again.
Right.
So
I'm
no
not
one was
marriage
ever
material.
like thinking.
But without that first quickie fake marriage, you can't use it as
Right.
an excuse.
Only person who may have played it better, Derek Jeter.
Yeah.
with the gift baskets?
Gift
Gift
baskets, no involvement. No one could claim anything of Jeter if he was like, this is one night. You're
Yeah.
walking away
She's
with
like, you're walking away with
a
literally
party favor.
hundreds of dollars from Bath and Body Works.
You got it all.
That's right.
I mean,
You got bath
you're
bombs.
walking out. No one is going
I'm
home
giving away
empty-handed.
bath bombs.
For anyone who doesn't know, we're not making this up.
Yeah,
Derek
no, that
Jeter
I-
was
Derek-
known to give gift baskets to
his
lady
one-night
of the night.
stands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's. I mean, who can argue with that? I bet people slept with him just for the basket.
It was like losing Wheel of Fortune in 1988.
Yeah, you still
little
get
console,
something.
little
Yeah,
something
you
to
get
go home with.
a parting gift. so to
Yeah,
speak.
you know, that's a hell of a lot better than Drake does with his one-night stands. If
Yes.
you think about it.
Yes.
In his Tabasco.
Probably in a lot of ways, probably.
So here's the thing about Drake, and I was trying to figure
this
out.
is the thing.
Among many things.
Great actor.
So Kendrick Lamar destroys him. Like
because the
essentially,
song was so good. It wasn't
song
even more,
was great.
It wasn't
It-
even more than the
it becomes a
diss. It was
banger,
like-
but no,
it was a-
Dan, it's more than that. 'Cause
And the song
who
is so-
comes on stage at his pop-up LA show,
Right,
but
right,
all
right.
these like rap luminaries, and they're all hammering Drake and destroying him. And to me, it's like if Gordon Ramsay, if you want to make, Kendrick Lamar Gordon Ramsay,
Most people do.
if Gordon Ramsay took a shot at In-N-Out and made and had a big thing, and everyone who loves Gordon Ramsay and fine dining was like, yeah, you gave it to him, but guess what? There's still a line at In-N-Out.
Yes.
My son, who's 16, doesn't give a shit about what Kendrick Lamar did and loves the Kendrick Lamar song and still loves Drake.
Oh, for sure.
So it's like, big deal. You punched a dent into the bean in Chicago. No one knows it. No one cares. No one cares.
my friend. We're gonna have
You got what I did? All right.
Guy I'm most envious of is Drake's dad.
Yeah. The
That
Jewish guy?
No, is he Jewish or not? Was the mom Jewish?
I have
He's,
no idea.
Like, he's awesome.
Yeah.
He's got a little Joe Jackson in him. Like, looks like a
Might have hit him a couple times.
carnival barker
Yeah.
from the turn of the century.
LeVar Ballish.
Kind of scary mustache
Yes,
guy
sure.
with too much jewelry, like a pinky ring and
Is
stuff.
he wearing makeup, Little Richard style?
Yeah, Drake's dad's the guy you gotta keep.
You got to
an eye
watch
on.
out. Keep an eye out.
Maybe
on it.
Kendrick should have gone after Drake's
Yes,
dad.
yes.
You went after the wrong
What if,
guy.
Okay, what if Kendrick and Drake's like squash their beef and the two of them go after Drake's dad?
That would
What
be
is
good.
the beef though? Like, I don't get it.
So the
that either.
beef was that Drake said we're like the big three and included himself and Kendrick and somebody else, and it was like we're the big three
At that time.
at that time. And Kendrick was like, no,
No,
you're
you're
not.
Uh-huh.
You're not. You're a poser. Like, you go down to Atlanta to get street cred and whatever. He's like, I am from the streets. I am from this thing, and you are not. So it is like calling into question his like a lot. Like
I don't care about any of that shit.
I don't either, because I'm like, the music is the
Nobody
music.
in
Who cares?
Creedence Clearwater Revival was born on a bayou. I don't
Well, but-
care.
okay, when Neil Young went after Leonard Skinner.
And this is that.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
I mean, he's got to go into concerts and be like, and do his things. Then Sweet Home Alabama was a
I
response.
hope Neil Young will
Remember.
Mr. Young
Right,
remember.
yeah.
Southern man don't need him around anyhow. What if they
Well,
squash the beef? Like, what do you
I'll
say?
tell you
then?
who should have the biggest beef ever and never really materialized is the Gatlin brothers.
And the Statler brothers.
No, the Gatlin brothers were exclusively called out and named in Coward of the County by Kenny
shit.
Rogers.
Jesus.
Because in Coward of the County, if you follow the lyrics,
Yeah.
which I do
Sometimes
closely,
it's good to turn the other cheek.
he has Becky. That's the coward's young.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now,
yeah.
his dad is in jail for killing a guy over a fight.
Yeah.
So his dad says, "Promise me you'll never fight.
Yes.
You won't end up like
Yeah,
me."
like
me.
And he
I'm a
goes, "I won't."
cautionary tale.
And because of that, the town knew him as Yellow.
Yes.
Okay.
Which, by the
don't
way,
use-
is that an Asian slur?
we
I
need
don't
to
know.
use that term.
And Becky.
This is the clip.
Becky loved him closely. You know, they're very tight, but he
Sure.
wouldn't fight with anyone. Never thought he was
No.
Yellow, but it's because his dad
Dad
was in
said,
prison
"Don't
for
do it.
killing
Don't
a guy.
do it."
Well, Becky went into a bar without the Coward of the County, and the Gatlin brothers came
God.
to town.
All of them.
And then Kenny goes, and there were three of them.
Wow. Yeah.
And there are three Gatlin
That's
brothers.
right. He's
and he
called 'em out.
toured with the Gatlin brothers. And then the Gatlin brothers proceeded to gang rape Becky.
No.
In the song?
In the song.
Terrible.
This
So
is
now
like when
they
I
had
found
to-
out. This is like when I found out what Ruby "Don't Take Your Love to Town" means.
I will break that
like
down.
the
that song is so
like
messed
the
up.
accused.
This is,
They-
this is
accused.
Straw Dogs.
They took turns with Becky.
Oh,
stop
they
it.
took
This is
turns.
all in the song?
Yes.
Yes, it's all there. And then the Coward of the County showed up to the bar,
Right.
saw what they'd done to
And
Becky,
Becky.
and he shut the door,
And he said-
all of a sudden he put his fists up.
Right.
You know?
It's like, this is it. I don't care if I
I'm
go to
breaking
jail.
what my dad's bond was. And
I'll
I'm
go to
kicking-
Now,
jail for this.
My life is basically not involved with this song, but I would still be the guy at the bar who just wanted to have a beer and watch the rest of the Lakers game while all this was going on. That would be me. I'd just be going, Jesus Christ.
Just get out.
I got a Michelob Ultra. Jesus Christ.
I
After
just wanna
drinking the
hang
parking lot, I just want to watch the rest of the Lakers game and have a beer.
They're putting Bronny in. I just want
I
to see
just
if he
wanna
gets
see
a
a
point.
Father and son play together.
That's it, without all the gang raping and the retribution.
Isn't this song about a father and son?
And by
Turn
the
the
way,
other cheek.
you're not allowed to walk into a public bar and lock the door. I got to go back to my hotel.
If you're not doing this on stage,
Oh my God!
Okay, this is what we have
This
said.
is what I said, and we've said this to your face
Break
before.
us down.
You and David Spade.
You guys both think in fully
Comedy
formed
bits.
comedy bits. Spade does it too, where he'll say a whole story, and you're like, "Are you doing it on stage?" And he's like, "No, I
no.
just said it." And I'm like,
Do this,
you have
please.
to
Dear
you
God.
doing this. I remember it was 2 years ago. Benny Mardones has a song
Oh,
called
yeah.
"Into the Night."
"Oh, it's the worst
and
thing."
no
ever.
one ever paid attention that
She's
it
just
starts.
16.
That's how it starts.
She's only 16.
She's
She's only
just 16 years old. Leave her alone. They said.
They said,
And
So
then it
someone
goes on-
warned him.
Yes, and then it goes into him saying, "Sneak out of your house. We're gonna go into the
The
night."
video is him outside her
I know,
window.
on a magic carpet. And then, by the way,
Just 16 years old. Leave her alone. They said.
So now-
he's been told
no, they said.
repeatedly.
but
multiple
they,
and the
people.
guy
well, they is
It could be one
society,
person,
they
or
is
one
her
person
dad,
identifying
the
as
law
non-
enforcement,
they
community,
is me.
faculty,
Everyone at the
school.
factory.
They
She's
is
in the 10th
that's
grade.
all of us. We're saying
all of
leave
us.
her
And that
alone.
dude was like
Preacher.
33, 35 years old when that song came out.
Dude.
Yeah, there's
I
songs like
know.
this that you
It's-
hear.
He was
I
like,
mean,
No, it's called statutory rape
Yes.
rock, and there's a whole album of it from the 70s.
terrible.
It's great. It's great. Well, anyway,
the Gatlins.
Becky, yeah. So,
Yes.
but the whole point is I interviewed Kenny Rogers. I've told this story before. I never thought about it from the perspective of the one guy at the bar
Right.
who just wanted
Which
to
is
get a beer.
hilarious.
He got into an argument with his wife. He just wanted to blow off a
And
little
he
steam.
keeps looking over. Guys,
Guys.
can we?
trying to-
Can you
we-
take turns somewhere else?
now the
Becky?
bartender's involved, and I can't get a
That's
re-up
right. He's
on my beer.
distracted.
That's right. God damn it.
So, so I interviewed Kenny Rogers.
Oh my God.
And I said, did you have to name them the Gatlin brothers?
Yeah, that's a.
And I said, how many Gatlin? He goes, no, there are 3 Gatlin brothers. I toured with them. I go,
So this is.
didn't that kind of piss them off? It's like,
Shots
well, their
across
mom
the
was
bow.
kind of pissed at the Country Music Awards. She came
Oh
up to me.
my
I'm like,
God.
you could have called them the Johnson Boys
Yeah,
or
right.
the Coney
The
brothers.
Jackson
You could have called
Boys.
them anything.
Yeah,
right?
anything.
But nope, had to go with the Gatlin brothers.
Boys.
Yeah.
That is insane. And again, it's
Old
like
school country music beef.
I love that. Okay.
All right, back to the story.
Oh yeah, she married herself.
Carrie
married
calling her wedding one of the happiest days of my life and hoped her journey to self-love was one that would inspire other people. However, the happiness she felt nearly a year ago is now gone.
Yeah.
She should have dated herself for a while.
I know.
Find out if you're the
I feel
one.
like she
But
rushed
also,
into it with
there's
herself too
nothing
quickly.
wrong with being like, I'm really happy with myself.
I love myself.
You just don't need to bring everybody. This is like gender reveals.
Don't
We
make a
You don't need to
federal
make
case
a whole
about
thing
it.
that everyone has to be
You need
aware
to start
of.
a
You are
6
like,
million acre forest fire.
Right.
Yeah.
To tell me that you got a son coming.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't need that.
Okay, so she's
But
getting-
I had this idea
Yes.
once, which is along the lines of the gender reveal. I think they should do everything like that. Like, are the Menendez boys going to be paroled?
We're gonna.
Or we're
yeah, if
gonna
you're
find
standing
out.
outside the courtroom,
Yeah.
guilty is yellow and
Yeah.
and
Green or red?
Green
Yeah,
or
green or red,
Yeah.
but let's make everything a reveal.
I
and
think
do
we
it with
can-
like airplane smoke so that everyone in the city
Yeah,
at the same
knows.
time
Oh,
can
yeah.
find out.
Or
It's
dunking
right.
a basketball and then
No,
it turns
I've just it's to me. I think the lack of pyrotechnics in concerts post Great White
Sure.
means that people aren't getting it enough in their lives.
So they're trying
like,
to put
I
it in
now
their
have
life.
to do it in
Our
my
society
life.
needs a good ooh and ah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
I
it.
think the sphere is done away with the pyrotechnics.
That's. I mean,
It's
come
true.
on.
There's
trying
no
to do it
reason
all
Great
to
point.
Light a wick.
Yeah,
Ever
it's
again.
like big deal.
Okay. In an August 30th interview with The Mirror, Carrie reveals she's divorcing herself, calling it her only option. I reveals that self-analysis reflection is essential. It's crucial to know when to end a cycle. Even commitment to oneself can have its challenges, such as dealing with the expectations
you're
of being
lonely.
perfect
Is she still gonna live with
for
herself?
yourself. I realized I was putting a lot of pressure on myself, and that sometimes left me exhausted. I understood that even a marriage with ourselves.
It's not youing, it's meing to herself.
herself. That's what she's doing.
No, she said it's not me, it's me. Literally. It's not me, it's me.
Look, you're great, but I'm not.
No, look, I'm great,
but I'm not. I'm wonderful, but I'm not good for me right
And I don't
now.
want you to be in this.
In a world
We both
where,
want the same thing, and that's the problem here.
where your pronouns can be them,
Yeah.
then this
It
kind of
could
makes
make a lot of
sense,
sense.
right?
True.
There's a group. Okay, got it.
I understood that even in marriage with ourselves, it's important to accept our imperfections. Despite her divorce, Carrie doesn't regret her decision to marry herself. I realized that my sologamy marriage was a process of healing and self-discovery, but I also understood that personal growth can lead us in different directions. I've decided that now is the time to open my heart to new possibilities,
There you go.
including
Other people.
so just cheat on yourself.
I mean, he's kind of having an open relationship.
yeah, she should have an open relationship and keep it open.
You know, it's weird. Everybody in like civilized Western society acts like they're the only people who've ever had kids or ever been in a relationship.
Right.
That's right.
Everybody has kids. Everybody's shit out of kids. The worst people in the world have kids.
That's right.
Everyone was a baby at some point, and everyone's been in a relationship. So just shut up. It's not that unique. You didn't win. You know, listen, you win the 24 hours of Daytona, the 12 hours of Sebring, and Le Mans in the same year. We can talk.
We can talk about
I want to hear about how
you
amazing
shit
it
out a
is.
kid. Not interested.
No.
My mom shit out a kid. She wasn't a great woman.
There was no form.
There's nothing.
And she didn't want to marry herself.
Yeah.
No, that's it. I mean, look, we do comedy about our kids, and when the whole crowd laughs, you're like, well, we've all experienced it. There's a
Right.
reason why we're doing observational humor, stories about our own kids that everyone can relate to, i.e., we've all done it.
Yes.
So this
all been
person,
there.
that's story number one. Story
Right.
number
I
one.
tell Kenny Rogers based jokes mainly, so I don't do the
So the thing was,
observational kid stuff.
he was in Vietnam and couldn't walk anymore.
Yeah.
So Ruby wants to have sex, and
Listen,
he can't
and
provide.
he said-
That's really what the song's about.
I know for you it was a gamble to do that. All right, that's right. Let's take a break. When we come back, more Adam Carolla on Dumb People Town. This is fantastic, and we'll find out what we have going on and how you can support him. All that stuff.
Stick around, make a sound. There's more Dumb People Town.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Before we get into the great Adam Carolla, how you can support him, enjoy him,
Where you gonna be, boys?
and everything, we should let you know that we are going to be at the Flyover Comedy Festival in St. Louis doing our Tag It show on the 15th, which you would love. You should come and do this show that we do.
You do your set. We're on stage.
While you're doing your set, writing tags that we then pitch you on stage afterwards. It's so much fun.
Very
It's
fun.
collaborative.
That's
and
cool.
It's really fun, and we did so.
Do you have any local ones on the books?
So we'll do one
Largo
in
the store?
December at the store. December 5th. If you want to come, if you're around, come and do it December 5th.
Is that
So
a Thursday?
Thursday night. If you're around and you're in town, we'll text you. But
Yeah.
gonna be a fun show, and I love the store. It's in the main room. We sold it out
That's
last
so
time,
much
so that
fun.
was a
I'd
blast.
love to do that.
Okay.
What do you do? I got a bad tag the other day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know,
and
from
someone
an
skated.
opener.
Yeah. Oh.
Ooh.
And it wasn't bad. You know what I got? I got a lateral tag.
Yeah, so you're like, okay, that's all right. Let me think about how I can kind of work that.
I
in.
might try that, or you like that feels a lot like what I've got going. But thank you for the pitch, and then you just move on. And you never do it.
But are you like he's going to then pitch you more?
Oh, well, well, you guys tell me, because I'm open to tags.
Sure.
And I try to not go, are you reflexively pushing off just because he's giving you one, or is his? But you guys tell me.
Okay.
Because it happened to me last weekend in Covina.
Okay.
And the guy opened, a nice guy. And by the way, I don't mind the effort of a tag.
Absolutely not. It's
Shows
someone
you
paying
care.
attention, right? Exactly.
Right. I said, I was doing this P. Diddy joke, and I said, so basically the joke was, the latest is he sits in the corner and pleasures himself while people were going at it in the bed, and I said, he's pleasuring himself, but how come when I do it, it's called beating off?
That's right.
Sure.
And then I went into this riff about, it was actually kind of funny. The riff is, beating off to pleasuring yourself to beating off is what cuisine is to food. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
And
how fancy do you want to feel about it?
What brothel is to whorehouse.
That's right.
But you'd much rather your wife catch you in a brothel eating cuisine and pleasuring yourself than in a whorehouse eating food and beating off.
That's right.
That's a problem.
Yes.
Same activity.
Yep.
Same activity.
Different verbiage.
Different perspective.
And so he said, why don't you do jacking off?
No.
And I said,
No.
it feels weaker. Beating off feels...
It's not as funny as a
It's
word.
not as funny.
Right. I said, I didn't want to go, you're wrong. I just went, I think the idea is what he does is noble, and what I'm doing to myself
It's like
is
it's like you're
debauchery.
almost and it's almost
and
like
I think beating off is
self-flagellation.
better than
you're
jacking off.
because
So that was a lateral punch-up move, which I
actually think it was
rejected.
below.
I do
think
too.
yours is
I'm
right.
trying to be
because the
polite.
CK ruined the fluidity of that line to me.
Beating
It's too much
off.
of a hard sound. Beating off keeps it funny.
I trusted my instincts.
I
and
can
went
tell,
with
and then
beating
if
off.
I may tell what I think is probably the difference between pleasuring yourself and beating off is probably a silk robe.
Yeah.
Okay, if you're in that, you're pleasuring yourself.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can see Rodney Dangerfield now.
That's right. He would never. There you go. All right, so we'll be doing our tag it at the. We'll do it again on December 5th at store.
Sorry.
No, it's
Our
okay.
silk robes are designed for perverts because
They open so easily.
they just fall
They
open.
fly
Like,
open.
you
It's
need,
already
like,
falling open.
zip ties and a staple gun and
Right.
Yeah.
to
keep it together.
them
Right, yeah.
closed.
Yes.
Or
you tie it in a sheep shank knot
it's
and
go-
walk across the room. It'll still
It's open.
fall
Open.
Right.
It's open.
open, whereas this terry cloth. And by the way,
It catches like terry cloth. There, the fibers catch.
Also, the silk robe sort of flies in the face of the job of the robe, which is
100%.
warm and snuggly
Right.
and
Right.
absorbent and stuff.
Silk
It's
robe
like
is-
wearing a trash bag.
Silk robe is meant to come off.
That's what I'm saying.
The second
Yeah.
it's on,
They
it's
only
off.
work when
It's
they're on
meant
a
to-
person you want to see
Right.
take it
It's
off.
meant to fall off.
Right.
And comfort-wise, you're like a UFC guy trying to cut weight, right?
it's-
Like
yeah,
it's
yeah.
not comfortable.
Or you're like sliding all over the couch.
Yeah, so it's only for
Yeah.
perverts.
Only for pre-sex takeoff.
Okay.
There you
That's
go.
it.
There we
Good
go.
to know.
Speaking of pre-sex takeoff, you can see us
At the Sheldon Theater in St. Louis.
St. Louis on the go to supersklars.com for all of our dates. We're going to La Jolla Comedy Store in the end of January. We're going to Sketchfest in San Francisco doing our 2-man show up there. So all that stuff, supersklars.com, check that out. Adam, people can check you out, your podcast.
You and Jay Moore have a new show.
Yeah, you
Oh,
and Jay
yeah.
Moore.
Beat It Out, which is sort of like...
Speaking of,
I thought it should be Jack It Out, but that's
No, but it's like the punch-up
Yeah, you
show,
guys-
and that we just sit there and bring up premises and
love
try
it.
to
I
work
love
out
that.
the premise, and then
I
when we
love it.
work it out, I then announce I'm doing it on stage,
Great.
and then he says, "Don't do it." It's never going to work. And I can give you an example. First, a hypothetical.
Sure.
Is anyone ever taken a photograph of a Asian woman in a terry cloth robe? Because I don't think I've ever seen that. I think you can scrub the internet and you would never find a depiction of an
Maybe.
Asian woman
I
in a
don't
terry
know.
cloth robe. It
I don't
has
know
to be
about that.
silk.
Okay.
Also, back to your comfort thing. When you eat, just you saying terry cloth robe made me feel comfortable.
Yes.
Because it is so effective.
it's soft.
At what it's supposed
like
to
this
do.
is what we're
like a
supposed to be
hug.
doing here.
It's
Can
like a hug.
I bought myself like $130 robe the other day from like the Robe comfort store in
Yeah.
Malibu.
Okay.
And I by no means think I'm worth $130 robe, but I use it every single
course.
day, and it's
Every
the best
day.
thing.
You feel
yes,
great.
there's certain stuff. A baseball mitt. Don't get a vinyl one.
Right.
Get a good one.
Right.
You'll have it your whole
Which
life.
goes back to our first story. A little bit of
the ro-
self-love.
And here's
Right.
the thing about a robe. How long you wear it after your shower or whatnot determines how much you've given up on your life.
That's
If
right.
you're willing to have that thing on for an hour to an hour and a half,
Oh, yeah.
Post shower.
Yeah.
I will say
you're
this.
on your way to
I
Howard
wear a
Hughes-
robe every
Howard
morning
Hughes
when
land.
Yeah.
I go downstairs to make breakfast and lunch for my kid.
Yeah.
I just put on the robe and it feels great. I have a waffle robe that just feels great.
I only ever lived that robe life at hotels, like a really nice hotel.
You're good
Big.
hotel.
They give you the robe at the hotel is medium medium to small all the time. It's there
you're a
is
big
one robe.
You're
Yes,
right.
it is meant for a 128-pound woman, and every time I try to climb into one, I
you're
can't
right. I'm the same.
touch my face.
It's the only time I feel dainty.
Yeah, it's like
You're like, I guess I'll just be. This is my range of motion now.
I have slipper advice for your audience.
Okay, let's hear it.
Let's hear it.
Don't get the slippers with like the rubber sole
Right.
on them, okay? Because it is a slippery slope.
down.
Because the thing about the slippers is you put them on and you have the same proclamation. This time I'm going to keep them nice. I'm going to keep them nice.
That's right.
And then at some point you go, oh, the mail's here.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, but I'm staying off the lawn because it's wet,
Right.
you know? And then the next thing you know, you're going like,
Where
well,
did
I'm
that-
going to pick up the Jersey Mikes, but I'm only going to be out of the car for a second. And then the next
The
thing you
deal
know,
you make with
you're going to
yourself.
work, funerals, bar mitzvahs.
In
You're
the
just wearing.
slippers.
Now
That's
you're
right.
just wearing
That's right.
slippers
Right.
outside. You cannot. Here's the deal. Don't get the rubber sole. If you
Don't.
get the leather sole,
tempting.
you won't. Yes.
No, the leather sole's like a minute.
So our story about the slippers is Randy and I did when we did Entourage. Mary J. Blige was on the show.
Mm-hmm.
She had her own entourage, and we realized that she did not have a no man, which we've always said this in our stand-up. You need one no man in every entourage.
That's right.
Just on the payroll telling you don't do that.
Should I take this underage
no.
girl into this
No, I have-
bathroom?
No.
Ben Roethlisberger?
No.
Don't.
Hey, how about I have sex with this woman in
Perkins
the Perkins waitress in
No,
the church
Tiger,
parking lot?
don't do it. No.
Hey, back to Ben.
Yeah.
I just got myself a new Kawasaki, and I hate helmets.
Hey, Ben,
Don't.
no,
do it.
Put this on.
Ask this guy. Don't do it.
So Mary didn't have that. How do we know? She shows up on set in the slippers from the hotel that you're not supposed to go out of the hotel in.
So that means she went through her whole
Whole
entourage
entourage.
without saying, "Hey, Mary, you going to put on
Put some shoes on.
Yeah.
I don't think you're supposed to
No.
walk those out of the hotel.
Yeah.
All the way onto the set in those slippers.
The best moment about that whole thing is that on the show, Jason played Jeff, and my character's name was Jim. Very important to remember this.
Jeff and Jim. I was Jeff. Randy was Jim. At the end of the week, I didn't want to bother Mary. I wanted to say, hey, it was really nice working with you. Big fan. Thank you for all your work. And she looked at me in the eye.
She was really
Touched by it. She put her hand on my shoulder and she's like, thanks, Jim. And I said, it's Jeff. I really couldn't double
You can't
connect.
double correct the woman.
Right.
She
I
said-
could only just be like, it's
I don't want to correct
She
you.
might have thought it was a real agency. She was playing herself in the show.
We're like, no, we're actors playing these
I'm
things.
not an agent. We playing agents in the show.
All right, so the name of the podcast with Jay Moore is
Beat It?
Beat It Out.
Beat it out.
Love it.
And so
Where is it? Where can they?
it's on Substack, but
Okay.
I guess you can go to AdamCarolla.com for all this. I have a premise.
Yeah. Let's
Okay.
hear it.
And
Let's see.
if you want to know some of the stuff, Jay goes, fine, that's funny. And then this is a joke that he specifically said, do not do it.
Okay,
All
let's
right,
hear
let's
it.
see if we can do it.
Or see if we agree with him. We agree with a lot of him. What he said.
He's good.
He's amazing.
He's very good.
It's a weird joke. I will grant you this, and I do it some of the time, and it gets a mixed reaction.
Okay. Good to know.
But I think, can we agree that certain jokes are for laughs, and then other jokes are like for appreciation? Like, how did you think of that?
Sure, yeah.
Right.
We've got
Just
those.
like some running plays, you know you're going up the middle, you're going to stuff it, and it's going to get stuffed. But guess what you're going to do the next time? You fake that play action. They bought it, and then you get
Yeah,
the payoff.
Mike and Baker bite,
Yes.
and then
And you toss it.
You toss
That's
it. Okay. So I'm watching the Bon Jovi multi-part doc on Hulu or whatever it is.
Sure.
And I'm watching now. There's a Bruce Springsteen one that's out now, right? And so it's all Jersey talk.
Yeah.
We're the kings of Jersey, and I love Bruce, and Bruce loves Jovi, and it's Jersey, Jersey, Jersey.
That's
you
right.
know, which we don't have in Valley Village. No. It's like people hang their head. I'm from North Hollywood.
That's right.
And we leave.
No pride. No pride.
I don't yell about up in the 818 or any of that. It's never
Unless
in the
you're
house.
Brody, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we just hang our heads,
That's right.
shuffle
Say
out
we,
of the room.
We love driving up Kester.
That's right. Nobody says that. Kester till I die. They don't say that.
It's Van Nuys Sherman Oaks Park. Both. Okay. So, Jovi, John Bon Jovi's being interviewed. And at some point, he's got gray hair. He's
Yeah.
getting old. He doesn't know if he can keep rocking.
Sure. He
And
looks
his
like Jamie
voice
Lee
is going
Curtis.
bad. Right. And he says, I may have lost my speedball. And I'm like, why did he say speedball?
He meant fastball.
He meant fastball. but he said
Speedball is
speedball.
cocaine
Yeah.
mixed with
heroin, I think. Yeah. And so I'm looking at it and I'm just watching it like, why? And then I go, oh, he's from Jersey. And then he's brought up Springsteen 20 times. Springsteen in Glory Days.
Throw that speedball by ya.
Throw that speedball by ya. Which always
Make you
fucked with
look
me.
like a fool.
boy.
Yeah.
And I was like, everyone from Jersey says speedball when they mean fastball.
because they don't have a baseball
They
team.
don't have a baseball team
in Jersey.
That's why. so I'm like, well, wait a minute. But Jovi's a huge fan of Bruce,
Right.
and he's a rock guy, so he doesn't know anything about
Nothing
sports.
about sports. No.
Maybe he learned the phrase from listening
Sure, Glory Days.
from Glory Days. So then, as the joke continues, I think to myself, do they flip it around? When they mean speedball, do they say fastball?
Yeah.
And part of what the joke is I go, I'm from L.A. You lose your speedball. That's a completely
that's right. There you go.
Party's over.
different thing.
That's right.
Party's over.
You get stabbed by Pim. So then my fantasy
River Phoenix is dead.
my fantasy was to find John Belushi at a. Oh, John! I just stepped on it.
Speaking of it,
I know.
Speedball.
I wanted to find Bruce at a party and say what killed John Belushi.
Yes.
And then he'd go, killed by a fastball. And then I'd go, I knew it. I knew it.
I knew it.
And then the weird part of the joke
That's
that
a
I
great
never
joke.
tell is I go, then as I was walking away, I'd hear him say, he was crowding the plate. And then my head would explode.
What was he doing?
Crowding the play. It's like an old time Anthony Rizzo.
Right. So Jay said, don't do
That's
it.
great.
I
like it.
I like it.
It's
You guys ready
It's
for
weird
story?
enough.
It's
Story number
weird
two.
enough.
I love it. Daniel, go.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Sent it by Liz Haggerty at Liz Haggerty. This is from back in March.
Okay.
Headline is this: Confused traveler mistakes stranger's home for his Airbnb.
Whoa.
Oh, my God.
How does this not happen more
All
often?
the
I
time.
was thinking about this yesterday.
Should happen
People
all
just
the time.
walking in.
I put a closet, installed a closet in the wrong house when I installed closets for Always Better Closets.
No way.
Wait, was the house supposed to be left open and so there was no one there, or the person was so dumb they're like, "Yeah, come on in, we'll take the closet."
they weren't there.
It was it was a perfect storm because if they weren't there, I couldn't have got in.
Right? Yeah.
It has to be.
No, okay, it was a perfect storm. So back to Valley Village.
Unbelievable.
It always is.
I grew up on Hartsook Street,
Yeah.
Yes.
and then
818.
my house was there. I went to high school on Hartsook Street.
Sure.
One street over is Otsego Street,
I know.
and that was my first apartment.
Okay.
And then I also rented a house with a bunch of dudes in North Hollywood on Otsego.
Okay.
So then my boss, Tom at Always Better Closets in Burbank, hands me this invoice, and he goes,
That's what ABC stands for?
Always Better Closets.
There you go.
And then he hands me the invoice, and he goes, this is in North Hollywood, and I look at it, and I go, oh, that's my street. That's where the disconnect is.
There you
I
go.
said,
That was it.
my
You put it
street.
in on your.
And I was looking at the Thomas Guide or whatever, and I was driving over there.
Thomas
And
Guide.
somewhere between Burbank and North Hollywood, the My Street moved from the one I grew up on to the one I was living on.
Oh God.
And so then I went to the exact same address,
on your living on street, not
Right.
the one you grew up
not one over.
Oh God.
So I
is.
knock on the door, and I got my tool bags and the closet, and the Spanish, as we used to call them, housekeeper, babysitter, answers the door. And she's like, okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm still in the closet. And I just kind of walk past her, She just let me in.
Because that's what you know enough Spanish to be courteous. And
Yeah.
she's not
And she also
questioning
is
you
like,
because
I can't
you,
know. She doesn't know all the business of the
Yeah,
house.
somebody
Yeah.
scheduled the closet to
Right,
be
the
installed,
closet package. Yeah.
So I know it's going in the master bedroom.
Oh my God.
And I walk into the master bedroom, and I open the closet door, and it's filled with clothes.
Of course, you're like these people didn't.
They
take
didn't
their
do
stuff
anything
out.
for
We always tell them, clean the closet out. Clean it out. They know to clean it out.
There's a guy a block over being like, I can't believe I got to
cleaned
take
it out.
everything out.
Right. And so I take everything and angrily throw it on the
course.
bed, you know, because I
People
didn't
don't
sign
care.
up for
They
that
don't
shit,
care
you know
about
what I mean? I
craftsmanship.
pull all this
Yes.
stuff out. Now, you also have to understand that all these ranch valley houses, they're all cookie cutter. Same bedroom.
same.
That
You
same
understand
bath.
if this isn't you, you're also talking about how serial killers scope out their victims.
Yeah.
How
This is
you're
The
in
goal,
this
you're
house.
basically telling
You're,
you the
mapping
mindset of
this
the
house.
Golden State Killer.
They all have that same wooden pole. It's
Yes.
just called shelf
Yes.
and pole. There's
Yes.
a pine
Right.
shelf, 12 at the top, a cleat going around, a pole that
That's right.
sags.
That's right.
They're all 9 feet wide,
Yeah,
and 3
that's it.
feet deep.
Yes.
And so I go in there and I demo out the old closet.
Christ.
And I install the new closet. Now, what we would do is it all kind of put together, and then the end part we'd cut on site if it was an inch this way or an inch that way,
Yeah.
so
Sure.
it fit tight.
Right.
And I installed the closet, went to the bathroom and installed a bathrobe hook. We used to do
at you.
those too.
How long
Going
is this
above
whole
and beyond.
process?
Couple hours.
Yeah.
That wasn't a big job, but it was
Sure.
2-3 hours. And I install everything, and I'm ready to leave because that's what I would do. I would install and leave, and he would invoice and bill and
great.
whatever. That was none
Right.
of my business.
Right.
There's one particular job. It's the only time it happened. My boss said, "You got to collect a check
Oh,
on
God.
this. Give him the invoice and collect the check." I never did that before. It was always their business. So I install everything. I throw all the junk in the truck. I'm all loaded up.
Yeah.
And I go in, and I say to the Spanish maid who's holding an infant, I go, I need the money now. Is there a check? And she's like, no. And I'm like, I need the check. This is the invoice.
Right,
And
yeah.
I'm told you had a check.
Check.
She's like, no. And I'm
She's
like,
right.
and I'm pointing at the address and like the invoice, and I'm going, yeah, this is for you. And she goes, no. And she takes a piece of mail.
Yeah.
And
she
holds it next
holds
to-
it next to the thing.
This is after you finish.
That's after I'm done.
Oh, God.
And I go, yeah, 11752 hearts. Oh, and she sees my face.
Sure.
mean,
Yeah.
And she's
blood
like,
rushing
She's
out.
holding the kid. And she starts panicking, and she runs into the kitchen, starts dialing the phone,
my
right?
God,
and I'm
yes.
like, oh shit! I run back out, grab the cordless drill, put it on reverse, and I just start backing out.
Oh
I
my
just start
God! You do
backing-
you take everything
off,
out.
back it all out.
Oh my!
I
And then
could do it-
reinstall the
I
old
could do
one?
it in 10 minutes
my
or
God.
8 minutes. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
backing it out,
Oh, my
carrying it out to front.
Loadout's
throwing
always
the-
faster than
throwing the-
loading.
Yeah,
Yes.
just backed it out.
Did you
took the whole
hang
thing
everything
apart.
back up?
Oh no, I fled.
Oh my God!
I-
Did you leave the hook for the robe?
I think I took.
Ro-
I think
Took
I
the-
took
it's like the robe
I
hook,
took.
too.
I took it all, and I
I do
jumped
like
in my
you
I jumped in the van,
Yeah,
and
it
I
just-
left.
That's
and
amazing.
I went to the right address.
Yeah.
For the now angry woman.
Yeah,
because I
right.
was
Where
3
are
hours
you?
late.
I
And-
came.
And I remember walking up like sweating, going,
my
and
God.
she was like, "Hello, you're supposed to be here at 8:45. It's noon, And I was like, "Oh my God, you won't believe what happened." And she's like,
I don't wanna
care
hear it.
what
I
happened.
don't
Just
care."
go put the stupid closet in. I cleaned it out, and I left, and that's it.
Oh my God!
And that.
And you
lady,
nev-
that maid, had to explain. Like the homeowners came home
Oh
at
yeah.
some point,
Oh yeah.
and she had to give them a version
Of what
happened.
happened.
Of what
What?
happened.
Hopefully-
Someone came in.
Hopefully, she knew where everything went in that closet.
Yeah, that's right. If
Well,
she
the
did-
closet was gone now because
Oh,
I
yeah. Oh, 'cause you
took
just took
the
all your
pole,
hardware out. Oh,
and
yeah.
Well, you got to demo out what is there.
Adam.
She had an empty space
You're gonna
with
get,
holes in the wall.
this person's gonna find you now and demand
you're
the
gonna get written
closet.
up. You're gonna get written up.
You are
dude.
going to get written up.
I demoed out the existing shelf. We call it shelf and pole. It's
Right.
like the
Sure, I
hangers
know.
with the bottom
Yeah,
and
no,
everything.
it's shelf
Got
right
it.
above it.
Demoed out.
Oh,
I think
my
that story
God.
too.
There you go.
I
That's
say we have
I
that big
like it.
story
I love
too.
it.
I love
There you go.
that.
Jesus
That was
Christ.
better than what we got.
I was thinking last night for some reason I was thinking about that crazy.
I can't.
It's
story.
such a crazy story.
And that is
because-
such the thing that happens to a young person who's working like out in the field on their
Right.
own doing something.
Oh yeah.
That's just it.
Well,
and at
once
a
you told
time when
yourself,
like there's
I'm going to my
no
street.
cell phone, you can't FaceTime someone and be like, "Is this the right?"
No.
This is a bygone era. You're talking about Thomas guides and trying to find streets in this way where you don't have Google Maps. It's a bygone era of that
It's
time.
the era of if you were going out for drinks that night, you let people know that day, and then they had to show up.
Yes.
There wasn't a like.
Yeah, unless they called and checked their answering machine to see if you called and changed.
Right.
plans.
That's right.
We're
That's
not.
it.
We're here.
That's
This
it.
is where we're gonna be, and then you got to
Yeah.
be there.
I got such a good story coming up on this after this.
Give us
next
a little
break.
tease.
Oh, it's just about a relationship that's gone wrong and the things people will do to each other afterwards.
Oh, great.
It's such an in the moment thing.
It's just it's a recap to story 1.
Kind of. All right, we'll take a break. Adam Carolla's with us. We'll find out what Dan's got going on after the break. It's Dumb People Town. Don't go anywhere.
Stick around, make a sound. There's more Dumb People Town.
Look, I love a great deal as much as the next guy, but I am not going to walk through a bowl of flaming guacamole to get it.
Bowl.
I'm not going to walk through any bowls to get it.
Wouldn't that be just one step into the bowl?
Well, I'm not going to step into a hot bowl of guacamole and just to get that it's got to be easy, Jay. No hoops.
Yes.
No BS. So when Mint Mobile said it was easy to get a 15 wireless for $15 a month with the purchase of a 3-month plan, guess what? We called them on it.
Turns out they're right.
It's really true. It's really easy to get wireless for $15 a month. The longest part of the whole process was waiting online or on the hold for a provider to come.
So, and to break up with the old provider. So here's the deal. Look, we're looking at all areas of our lives. How can we have basically the same thing that we have right now, but be spending less?
Yeah.
This is one way. This is one way to keep your cell.
We've done it.
Keep
We're
your
on
number.
Mint Mobile. It's easy.
Very easy. This is a very simple process. And then you say to yourself, wait, I'm spending so much less right now to be doing what I'm doing anyway.
So listen.
And I know how it works.
To get started, go to mintmobile.com/DPT. There, you will see that right now, all 3-month plans are just $15 a month, including the unlimited plan.
Boom.
All plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's fastest or largest 5G network. You can use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan. And
Bring your phone number along. That's what I'm saying. Nothing's
your
different.
existing
It's your
contacts.
same phone. It's your same number. You're just spending less money.
Find out how easy it is to switch to Mint Mobile and get 3 months of premium wireless service for $15 a month. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/DPT. That's mintmobile.com/DPT. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/DPT.
$45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speeds slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. I want to take a quick moment and shout out our mom, Annette Sklar, and just have so much gratitude for her.
I want to shout out DVK.
Hey.
Thank you for being an amazing partner. I have so much gratitude for all the hard work you do on this
feeling's
show
mutual.
and about how you support us and how you've raised the level of our comedy forever.
Always.
So
Come
that's
on,
my
man.
gratitude.
I mean, that goes. Excuse me. That I literally got choked up. I'm not crying. I somehow got choked up.
Yeah. That was the goal.
You literally
that goes both ways times 1,000. So love you guys too. I'm gonna shout out. I'll shout out my mom because that was nice of you guys to do that as well, and I just don't want to get an angry letter. So no, she's the best. She's great. We still we communicate and have like fun together and hang out. We went and saw a movie together last time I was home, and it's just great to do things.
She raised you all by herself.
So
deserves a lot of credit.
It's fun to shout out other people, but there are moments, and BetterHelp tells us this, that we got to shout out ourselves from time to time.
You know, I
Have
worked
some
out twice this
gratitude.
week. I'm going to shout out myself for that.
Do it.
It's hard sometimes to get yourself into that gym.
So either if sometimes you are in a relationship and your life, if you have kids, you guys are just all hammering away and focus on that. You don't get a second to be like, hey, I'm doing all right.
I love that BetterHelp tells us to do that.
Well,
Because
that's
it
what
allows you
therapy
that
does.
opportunity. If you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try.
Yes.
It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule, like what Jay was just saying. We get so much other things going on in our lives. You just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge.
So let the gratitude flow even to yourself, especially to yourself with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/DPT today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/DPT.
Stick around, make a sound. There's more Dumb People Town.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. The great Adam Carolla is with us. Got a new podcast called Beating It Out with...
Beat It Out with Jay Moore.
Is it Beating It Out or Beat It Out?
It's jacking it out. Like I did to that closet,
I
bro.
know. You jacked that thing out. You jacked it out of there.
Yeah, it's
Beat It Out.
Beat It Out.
Beat It Out with
Take
Jay
comedy
Moore.
premises, and we do what you guys do on stage.
I love it.
And his
AdamCarolla.com.
podcast, which we have done and love.
It's just
it's the
fantastic.
granddaddy. It's like a phenomenal riff fest mixed.
I mean, we guest hosted, and you have been nice enough to let us guest host that show, which we have done with great pride and joy. In the same way we've guest hosted Jim Rome's radio show, it to me feels very similar. You got a very diehard audience,
You got great staff,
and
other
both
co-hosts.
of you guys, two icons in the biz, have never said to us, "Hey, can you do this a little differently?" Both of you are like, just do what you guys do. We appreciate it. It's adjacent to what we're doing, and we've always appreciated it.
Well, you guys are great in that format.
I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
God
great.
bless
Thank you,
it.
thank you.
All right, Daniel, before we jump into this, tell us.
Go to danielvankirk.com. I'm headlining Thursday, November 14th, the Flyover Comedy Festival.
St. Louis.
Get tickets for that show on my website. Watch my movie Wine Club. Watch my special Rose Gold.
Phenomenal
good.
special.
And then you can listen to my podcast, The Midnight Air, right here on All Things Comedy. And the first Wednesday of every month is my show, Overshare Comedy, stand-up show.
We did it.
Yeah, you guys were
I loved
great.
it.
It's over by Cantor's on Fairfax, first Wednesday of every month. Overshare Comedy. Everything is at Daniel Van Kirk.
Let me ask a philosophical question.
Sure.
I believe as a comedian, it is your civic duty to roll with like premises.
Yeah.
Which is what you guys do,
Yep.
and why it's always a pleasure to sit down with the rollers.
Yes.
But there are a fair number of comedians who do not roll.
That's not
Yes.
their.
and
that's
they
not
just
in their body.
deny, and I find myself
I know.
arguing with them, like on my own show, going, "Why are you? No, I'm just saying," and they're like, "I'm sorry, I'm not doing." And it's like, we're talking about a hypothetical.
Right.
We're trying to do comedy, and you won't go
Yes,
anywhere
and it.
near.
Yes,
you
and
won't
it.
go near what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And I never want to speak to you again because it's difficult.
And now,
Sometimes with those comics, I'm like, are you afraid you aren't going to be funny if you haven't had a full day to think about this?
Yeah.
Like, so they'd rather take
Yes.
the air out of it or not give into it because it's some sort of fear that they can't jump into the double dutch. And
I'm not going to say who
like,
it was, Dan, on this show, but we've done episodes of this show that are like 32 minutes long. And
Right.
you're like, how can that be? This
How
should be
is
at
this-
minimum 45 minutes, probably an hour.
Right.
Because we say that when we do these stories, everyone has a steering wheel. So if
wherever
you
you
go,
want.
oh, that reminds me of something I thought about yesterday, like you just did.
which you let us do on your
It
show.
became the story.
If we start going with something, you're jumping right in with us. You're not just like, all right, you
And
do
so,
your
yeah,
thing.
we've had people where over the
but-
years where you're like, have you never driven a car? When I say everyone has a steering wheel, like, get in here.
It is. It's it's one thing if an orthodontist has leanings toward denial.
Yeah.
But comedians, it's a
This
weird
is your business.
thing as
It's
a comedian, and there's an alarmingly high number of them that just
Don't wanna play.
argue. And it's the. I got into an argument. I won't say his name, but I was saying, I don't know, it was a story about airline prices or whatever,
Yeah.
and I just go, look, the bottom line is it's all about weight. That's why they weigh your bag. If it's over 50 pounds, you got to whatever.
more.
And the reality is we subsidize fat people who fly because everything. The ticket's $89 for the Pixie and for the heavyweight. It's due, and it's all just Jet A. And the reality is we should all just be weighed in the ticket price with our luggage.
Yeah.
That's the number you get. And he's like, "How's that fair? How's that fair?" And I'm like, "Wait, how's it fair? It's the ultimate fair." Well, and he goes, "Well, who's going to fly that airline? No one's going to fly that." I said, "Women. All women would fly the airline because
Thin
I weigh
people.
70 pounds more than my girlfriend,
Right.
and she would get a cheaper ticket
I mean, that
than
is-
me."
Also,
And he-
what a nice little
For
motivator
families.
for something.
Fly with your
That's
little
what I'm
kids.
saying.
Fly with your little kids for nothing.
By the way,
Right.
Ozempic needs to come up with an airline.
Right.
And they
then
lose
he-
money.
Then
on
he
it.
goes, "Well, people would game the system."
How? You step
that's
on
what I
the
said. You
scale?
put
How
your-
do you put your bag on the
I have
go?
a merch bag I travel
go?
with. How do I game
Here's
the
the thing,
system?
for anybody who thinks that it becomes a fat shaming, I'm going to go the other way because you need a certain amount of weight distributed on the plane and things like that, especially with assigned seats. So you can end up in a situation where they go, we need 300 more pounds on this weight.
That's
and
right.
if you are at the airport and
Hero.
you are going there, they might go, hey, if you switch to this flight,
Right.
we're
Fly
gonna-
first class.
we'll
Fly
buy you-
first
we'll give you
class.
20. You can fly for $20.
We'll give you the ballast rate.
Because when you get on a flight, if any of you guys have ever done it, I've done it a couple times where they go, there is only 40 people on this flight. You can't all sit in the front.
That's right.
Right.
And they will say, like, we have to
distribute
distribute.
you.
So it
Right.
could go the other way, where you find out, like, oh my God, they're having a big guy deal on the flight I wanted.
is my,
they need me.
I'm flying Spirit
You want
big and
me on
tall.
that flight. You
Or-
need me on that flight.
Or every once in a while they do the we're overweight, we got to throw off a piece of luggage.
yeah.
Or one fat
Or
guy.
one fat guy.
Come on. And then so I said, how are you going to game? He was 20 minutes into shooting down my
right.
point. He
Right.
just wouldn't budge. Wouldn't budge. And
Yeah.
I was like,
It's
how are you going to game the system? And he goes, people could put like sandbags in their pockets. I go,
That's
that makes
bad.
it heavier.
That makes
Like,
it
at-
worse.
At this point, you're just a dog who's biting his own owner because you're in some sort of crazed denial phase where you're just yelling no to. You're not even making sense
No,
now because
you're-
you're just yelling no at
Arguments.
everything because you decided that this was, and also a lot of it is they think it's offensive or something, so they go, I don't want to go there, and it's like.
if you don't agree, there's ways to.
You don't understand the game.
I can't.
You don't understand the game.
I have a question for you because as you were talking about working, sort of building closets and other stuff like that. I don't think we've ever asked you this.
Breaking and entering.
At breaking and entering homes. No. At what point were you like, I maybe should try going into some sort of form of entertainment, whether it be radio or comedy or whatever? Like,
How did you transition?
yeah,
like I've
like
heard you
was
say
it
this
all of
the
your
year you met
friends?
Jimmy.
Was it all your friends who were like, dude, you tell the best stories? Or at what point did you feel like, all right, this is it? I'm just curious because I've never asked you this.
I was even my apartment on Hartsook or on
Back in the
Seagull,
day,
wherever
whichever
it was.
was.
Yeah.
And I was probably about 22, 23, and I'd been swinging a hammer for like 3 years, and it was dirty and dusty and kind of dangerous and low pay, and I was getting $9 an hour and driving a beat up pickup truck.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of looking around, and I was just kind of going, what kind of life is this? Like, see, I didn't have a union job like at a studio as a carpenter.
Right.
If I had a job with some benefits and some days off and some
might have been a
golden
different
time,
story.
I'd still be there.
Content.
I would be
That's
there.
crazy.
I had no insurance, and the kind of construction I did, you didn't get paid for Christmas. So we didn't work Christmas Day, but we work a half day before Christmas,
Sure.
take Christmas Day off, and then show up the day after Christmas because no one could afford to not get
take the
paid
week
for
off.
3 days.
Right.
You know,
That's right.
There was no dental, there's no medical, there's no nothing. If it rained and the job site got all rained out, you didn't work.
Right. And you didn't get paid.
The other good part is they didn't hassle you that much. Like if you didn't show up, you just didn't show up. They go, fine, you don't get paid. So I was like, okay, what is this? How are you going to raise a family? How are you going to pay support kids? How are you
tremendous
going to own
foresight
a
at
house? How are
23.
you going to do any of this? You're just sitting around. And then there was like people go, well, you get your contractor's license, you get a few trucks, but you get your tools ripped off, you get stiffed by vendors and stuff like that, and homeowners. It's a bitch, man. And I was just like, what are we doing here? How's this going to be? And so I was like, all right, what are you, 22, 23? I didn't have an education. I knew I couldn't work in a white-collar environment. I barely scraped through high school. I wasn't going to be a lawyer.
Right.
I wasn't going to even work in an environment, like in a professional environment. I didn't own a jacket, a tie. I didn't know how to make a resume. It was all off. So I was just like, look, let's be honest. What do you do here? And I go, well, you're good with your hands. You can build houses. All right, that's something. That's good for $28,000 a year, and you have a sense of humor. Not because anyone ever told me I had a sense of humor. Not because anyone ever said write that down. I grew up with a bunch of idiots from the Valley who played football and fought. That's all we did. No one said, oh, you're a regular Oscar Wilde, aren't you? Like they're just shut up. I'll punch you. And I would sit around every once in a while and I'd go, what's the difference between a couch and a sofa? I mean, same thing with a drape and a curtain. And they'd go, I don't know. Shut up.
Meanwhile, that's
Watching
a
the
good
game,
joke.
That's
a good joke.
They would just tell me to shut up. No one cared. My parents never said anything. So But I knew. I was like, I know I have a sense of humor.
Yeah.
But like, if you could sing, you know, but you wouldn't know you would get paid to sing.
Right.
So I was just like, all right, what are you? You're 22. Okay, what do you got? You got roommates. You got a crappy apartment, North Hollywood, you drive a truck. You make no money. Okay. You don't need to make a bunch of money by the time you're 25. But by the time you're 30, it would be nice if you were working indoors, like had air conditioning and there was a snack bar or something in a bathroom, not a porta potty. You didn't eat off a truck back when eating off a truck sucked. And and I wanted to move indoors and get a little air conditioning, and I wanted to like collaborate. You know, I worked with guys who, I always said every construction site in L.A. is 15 Mexicans and 3 racists named Mike. And that was it. That's all you had to talk
probably.
to. Half the people I work with didn't speak English, and the other half
You didn't want to speak to.
Yeah, didn't want to speak to them, you know?
Right.
So, they'd be like, I got to get the kid and the old lady this weekend. We're going to the river. It was like a lot of that, you know?
Yeah.
Because I got a new pipe on the jet ski.
Yeah. Oh, great.
Okay. So, but what about the orthodonture for the kid? I can't afford that, but I got the Kirker on the jet ski.
Yeah. Thank God you souped that thing up.
So I was like, okay, what do I do? I don't know anybody. There's no show business where I'm from.
No connection.
Anybody.
Yeah.
I know a friend who's a girl from high school. I know her dad is a composer for the music industry, and her mom does something artistic, whatever. Jews.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
I
You're
go
welcome.
talk to Danielle Chakin's mom, Judy, and I'm like, you're artsy something, right? Like, what do I do? And
Big
she
move.
goes, you should go to the Groundlings.
Yeah.
And take a class at the Groundlings. And
Brilliant
I'm like,
woman.
What is that?
Yeah.
It's like, there's this place on Melrose where people do improv. And I'm like, did you just make it up as they go? And she goes, yeah. And I go, oh, I could do that, And so I go down and watch like a Friday night show, And I'm like, oh, yeah. This is where I want to be. And so I just signed up for beginners groundling class. And I was like, I was probably making $275 a week, and the groundlings class was $300,
God.
but there I am, like on the job site, all day, and at night, me and Cynthia Seghetti are down at the Cornet Theater doing, trying to lift a giant manhole cover with 8 other people, you know? And I just kind of slowly learned, but I was like, look, you're 22, but by the time you're 30,
Indoors.
by the time you got to be indoors. You don't have to have a TV show. You don't have to be. You don't need a microphone. You don't have the camera. I never thought, oh, you're going to be a celebrity. I didn't think any of that. I just thought,
be indoors.
if you could be indoors,
That's success to you.
and have some kind of job like writing funny greeting cards or something.
Just getting paid to be creative.
being paid. Not only that, but literally getting paid not to move things.
Shit, right.
Because my whole work was, worked at McDonald's, then I worked at a liquor store where I just stocked boxes. Then the construction site is just take that drywall and put them over
there.
and
Move
then
that
move
over
that
there.
plywood. It's just literally where I could sit and get paid. I've never had that job, and I would get paid for my ideas,
For your
not my
brain.
back.
That's
right. And that was really the only goal.
That's success.
And if you would have handed me a contract that said I'll pay you $42,000 for the rest of your life, but you can work indoors, I would say, give me that.
Give me that. I'll take
give
it.
it, devil. I'll sign the shit right now.
Crazy.
So I went from one ground, and when I was done with the groundlings, basic, they were like, well, you're funny, but you don't know what you're doing. You don't know where to face. You close your eyes on stage and stuff. You don't know how to act or anything. So they go, take an acting class, and then we'll let you take the intermediate class.
Amazing.
And I go, all right, where's the acting place? You know, there's a place on Ventura. I go, okay. There's another $200 I didn't have to the acting class. And I took the acting class, and I came back, and I said, now I got to do intermediate. I said, okay, now I did the intermediate. And they passed me on to Writer's Lab in advance, and then I got booted out. I didn't make it into the thing.
To the final.
I was like trying some open mics and then formed the Acme Comedy. I was just kicking around.
Right, but it introduced you to that world.
Yeah, but now I was weeks away from my 30th birthday.
Oh, Jesus.
And it hadn't worked out. I'd done some open mics. I'd done plenty of sketch, plenty of group improv, very well trained. You know, I was a fighter who was trained and never had a match and never got paid.
Right.
All I did was train.
Right.
Which and I had good hands, you know.
Yeah, you could do
but
it.
I never got a purse, you know. And I was about 3 or 4 weeks away from my 30th birthday, and it was weighing on me because I'm living in a house in La Crescenta, renting a house with 3 dudes, no heat, and driving a Zuzu Trooper.
There you go.
And it's not working.
Right.
But I did manage to make myself a boxing trainer during the morning, and then I was still a carpenter in the afternoon. And I kind of was quenched a little by the boxing because I got to work with people and talk to people
And be funny
on my
around people.
feet,
Sure.
and kind of be funny and
inside.
instruct
Right.
and be inside.
That's right.
I looked as kind of a half victory.
Step.
I
It's like
wasn't-
a half step.
I wasn't building anything,
Right.
but I still wasn't getting paid enough as a boxing coach, you know, executive boxing. And I was a carpenter during the afternoon. So then I was driving my truck over the hill to deliver an entertainment unit for a woman who was named Marjorie Gross, or Grossman, who was a writer for Seinfeld, a Canadian. And I was building her an entertainment unit. And I was driving up the hill, and I was listening to morning radio, and I was listening to K-Rock, and I was listening to Kevin and Bean, and I heard them announce they're having a boxing match. And, you know, morning zoo type
Totally,
stunt stuff.
yeah.
And it was Jimmy the sports guy versus Michael the maintenance man. And when I was driving up this hill, I just had this, like, lightning struck me. I was like,
I gotta be a part of that.
train one of them to box.
Yeah,
I
that's
got to
right.
train one of them to box. Just so I can see the inside of the studio, or maybe get on a microphone or something. I love radio.
It's amazing.
So I'm going over, and I come over the hill, and I go to this woman's house, and I go, could I use your phone? You know,
Yeah.
I installed an entertainment unit in the wrong house. No, I go, can I use your phone? She's like, and I'm calling K-Rock, and I'm getting the answering machine.
God. Of
Frank
course.
Murphy, the
Yeah.
morning show producer, leave a message. You know, I leave a message. And
Oh,
then
my God.
I go home and check my nothing. I call the next day. They don't pick up the phone. Meanwhile, I'm hearing them talk about, hey, we need trainers. Hey, we need equipment.
You're like, I'm the
calling,
guy.
calling.
I'm trying.
And I'm hearing trainers like call in on the air, like I could train one of these guys.
Oh, my God.
You know, and I'm going. So I go. I'm going down there, and I
insane.
I taught a 7 a.m. boxing class. So I go down there at like 6 a.m. And I can't get into the building. It's in Burbank. It's a commercial building.
Oh, my
They're
God.
up on the 9th floor. The building hours are like 8 a.m. to whatever, you know. So I go back. I teach my class. The next day, I get a guy to cover my class, and I go in right when the building opens at like 8 in the morning.
The things you're doing to
I
get
know,
to
because
this
I'm
thing.
so like weirdly motivated.
It's amazing.
And so I go up to the 9th floor, and I see the K-Rock suite. But the K-Rock suite's locked.
Of course.
Their business hours are 9 to 5. And by the way, if you walk in, you can't get to anybody.
no one's gonna
Yeah,
let
no
you
one's gonna
in.
just let someone in there.
Who's this stalker?
I'm standing by the elevator, and I'm like, oh, it's like 7:30 in the morning, and they open at 9. But even when they open at 9, the receptionist's not going to go get Kevin
Somebody,
and Bean and
right.
bring them out here or anything.
on
I'm
radio.
just standing there. So I'm like, just standing there by the airport, by the elevator, and I'm like, should I just go home or what should I do? I go have a cup of coffee and come back, and then what? And right then, some guy gets out of the elevator, and he starts walking like with purpose to go around the back hall with the key card entrance. And he's walking. I don't know if he's filling the vending machine or like what he's doing, but he's
got
walking.
purpose.
He's got the key card, you know. So I start walking next to him. I go, hey, you going back there? You going into the studio? And he goes, yeah, I'm going. And I go, tell him there's a boxing coach, and I'm just waiting by the elevators.
Right.
So just tell him. And he's like, yeah, all right. And he swipes his card and he leaves, you know. And
You're like, I can't believe I hung all my hopes on this guy who I don't even know who he is.
And I just go stand by the elevator, and I'm like, did he say anything to anybody in there?
Who
And
knows?
Who's in there? And I don't
knows?
know. And I just stand by the elevator, and I'm like, well, my class is covered. I got nowhere
I
to
got
go.
time.
And I
Right.
got nowhere to
Right.
go, so I'll just stand by
This
this
guy's
elevator.
either going to come out on his own or
Right. And so like a half hour later, this guy starts walking down the hall, this young guy, and he just sees me standing there, and he goes, are you the boxing coach? And I go, yeah. And he goes, I'm Jimmy. And I go, okay. I didn't know if I was going to get the maintenance man, or Michael, or Jimmy the sports guy. And I go, okay. You want me to teach you to box? And he goes, yeah. I go, when do you want to start? And he goes, today. I go, okay. And that man was Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. God damn. That is such a
crazy story, right?
Crazy. So beautiful.
So many things had to happen in order for that to happen, and you had to not take no for an answer.
One guy had to say, there's a boxing coach outside.
Yeah.
Right?
And that was like a month before my 30th birthday.
Had that guy just not remembered to do that.
Or
not,
Michael the maintenance man came out.
Or if the other guy came out. God damn it.
I love that we got
I
that
didn't
story.
think we do this story.
I'm going to do a story. I don't give a shit.
Well, do we have someone waiting, Rand, to go for the
I don't
next
know.
one?
We might have someone.
We might.
waiting.
Hold on. Let me
All
see.
right. Is that the end? Is that the end?
We
Do
might.
have-
That might be the end of the show.
I think that's the end of this show. That was.
I love that.
Yeah, I like
It's
that
an
better than this.
inspirational end.
It's
God
amazing.
damn,
Now,
that's
look.
better. That's anything. That's better.
No
than
one
anything.
listening could pull that shit off.
No.
So
But
don't be inspired.
No. Don't be inspired.
Don't quit your
No.
job.
Don't be
quit
inspired.
your
Don't quit your job, but always go with the story that's being told. If we've learned
That's
anything from
what
us,
we've learned.
always
Go with the story being told. Beat it out. Not beating it out. Beat it out.
with Jay Moore.
One of our favorites who we should also get on this show.
Absolutely. And just follow Adam, dude. I'm so
Thank
happy
you for
to do
all
this.
of your support of all of us through the years.
I'm always a big
And we'll
fan.
come on and do your show too. Dude,
Please.
you're the best.
Make
And
it happen.
oh snap, we got to get back to work. I'll see you guys. Peace.
Stick around, make a sound. There's more Dumb People Town.